Protecting my peace for so long, a little too good, now I'm so low. Watching reruns of the same shows. Almost every party I'm a no-show. Even with green lights I don't go. Never been sure, no I don't know. How does everybody else let go of the ego? Don't go out nearly as much as I should. Barely know the way around my neighborhood. I'm ruminating, I feel no good. Not living life like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I know I should. Like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I could. If you would show me, yeah. If you would show me, yeah, yeah. If you would show me, yeah, yeah. I spent so much time daydreaming. Now I don't know how I'm feeling. Don't know who's the real me. Might need my help and I thought I needed. I can see it. Need more healing, more believing, less deceiving. I don't go out nearly as much as I should. Barely know the way around my neighborhood. I'm ruminating, I feel no good. Not living life like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I know I should. Like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I could. If you would show me, yeah. If you would show me, yeah, yeah. If you would show me, yeah, yeah. I might need therapy too. Help dilute all the bad news. Cause I just can't deal with the lose-lose situations you have to go through. I think I need therapy now. Recycling all the same doubts. Heard it a million times. Cause I tell myself all the same lies. I might need therapy too. Help dilute all the bad news. Cause I just can't deal with the lose-lose situations you
We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive, get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, you like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you crossed my path. I've been sinking lately, and it's hard to move. Think I'm stuck on you. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wonder, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? We only got this life, no guarantees and stars align. Find all your passion trail and try to keep an open mind. Hiding by myself, no guarantees you'll find me. Said if it's faith you'll find me, leaving the past behind. We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. I wonder, would you love me better if I go? I'm not home. I wanna know, can we trust the stars above to let us know how to go? Whoa.
I had a dream last night, did everything I never do in real life. I stepped into a room, told everyone to be quiet, cause I had something to say, blew everybody away. Wear whatever I want, dressed in a gown, everybody's like, why, where you going, nowhere special, just going to the store. I think I'd have it all, tell you I have even more. Picking a plate, being a plate, she is unruly. Never seen her like this, didn't think it existed, no truly. Don't get in the way, she's not here to play, she'll get moody. But don't mistake this girl for being me, cause these are dream rules. This is someone else, I'm not myself, no, no. Cause these are dream rules. This is someone else, I'm not myself, no, no. Living in my dreams all night. Living in my dreams all night. Living in my dreams, living in my dreams, living in my dreams all night. Living in my dreams, living in my dreams. She can make all the problems disappear. She could tell you the things you wanna hear. She could read your mind and that you could believe all the little lies to tell yourself at night. Never get it wrong, it's always right. Making the plate, being the plate, she is unruly. Never seen her like this, didn't think it existed, no truly. Don't get in the way, she's not here to play, she'll get moody. But don't mistake this girl for being me,
Peace, 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 peace. Peace to everyone. Peace to everyone. Man, it's a lot going on this week. It's a lot going on this week, y'all. As per usual, it's a lot going on this week. So, as we go through our day, our week, we're just going to provide everyone with some more encouragement, some more things that we can all do to help ease up some things we can do to ease up the situation that we all got going on. If it ain't if it ain't if it ain't one thing, it's another, right? If it ain't one thing, it's another. So I want to first start off with giving my praises and honors. Praises due to Allah, honors to His holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Ali. I give honors to the forerunner of the Moorish Movement of America, Brother Emilio. I give honors to all past, present, and future members, official staff, and supporters of Moorish Temple of America. I give honors to each and one of you all who come out and support us every week. I give honors to everything that is Moorish. I give honors to the ills and bays who will their ways. To our Father God Allah, I give honors to my ancestors, my parents, and my husband, Brother Richard Milbay. Man, y'all, it's going up. It's definitely going up. It is definitely going up. They got your man Hunter Biden. I remember I did a build on him, and I said that it was going to be these charges coming up, and this was like probably about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. I said they was going to be bringing up these charges on him, and they the White House was asked. It's funny, the White House was asked, um, will his daddy will his father be able to get him out of this situation? And the White House was like, no, not at all. We not. So if your child, even though you know your child was doing wrong, you wouldn't use your power and authority to get your child out of this situation? Make it make sense, y'all. Come on now. This the same man who came up with that crime bill and said he was happy for the crime bill. Even when he was asked him in a news report when he was being interviewed, and said, Bobby Rush, everybody who know Bobby Rush is Congressman Bobby Rush from out of the 1st District in Illinois, in Chicago. It said Bobby Rush said that he was embarrassed that he voted for the crime bill. Do you have some remorse? And he was like, no, for what? Best thing since sliced bread. I'm not apologizing for no crime bill. You know how much money I made off of that? No, we're not doing none of that. No, not at all. So, yeah, Bobby Rush apologized. He said he was remorseful, and Hunter's father said no. Joe said no. I'm cool with the crime bill. I'm glad that I did it. It made me the most money in my life. I wish the good old days was back again, because I made a lot of bread off of that crime bill. But yeah, he's not going to be able to get him out of this one. But if you really the president, this is the one flex that you're supposed to flex on. If you really the real president, right? So we're gonna play this so we can all see and hear what they got going on. Because they've been playing with us for a long time. We're starting to get more of the unveiling of what's really been happening in real time. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Peace to everybody that's coming on. Make sure you like, share to all your social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, go ahead and subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell so that you get all notifications when we go live. All right, so we're going to look at this Hunter Biden situation first, as we always go through our current events. Let's see. Put some sevens in the chat if y'all can hear.
Plea deal collapse. The president's son now fighting criminal charges in the midst of his father's re-election bid. This morning, less than 2 months after his plea deal collapsed, the president's son now fighting criminal charges in the midst of his father's re-election bid. A federal grand jury indicting Hunter Biden on 3 felony counts, accused of lying about his drug use when he bought a gun back in 2018. Those allegations, the same ones he stood ready to admit over the summer, which would have allowed him to avoid prison time.
This office has never brought a charge like this against anybody. Hunter owned an unloaded gun for 11 days.
But the deal unraveled after a judge questioned it, and Biden's legal team now calls the charges a result of partisan interference, accusing special counsel David Weiss of bending to political pressure.
If the Republicans yell loud enough, at some point it actually cracks through and people believe it.
While some Republicans on the Hill say they hope this is just the beginning.
That was an easy charge.
And remain focused on their own investigations related to Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings.
You have to follow the money. Does it lead back to the White House? Does it lead back to Joe Biden? And we don't know the answers to that.
No official word from the White House on the indictment, but the president has defended his son in the past, saying in an interview last year he believed people would understand his son's struggles with addiction.
This thing about a gun, I didn't know anything about it, but turns out that when he made my application to purchase a gun, what happened was he stayed, I guess you get asked, you get asked the question, are you on drugs, you use drugs? He said no.
Special counsel Weiss only releasing a paper statement staying mum about the charges when pressed by NBC News. But a spokesperson for the special counsel's office says the investigation continues.
All right, Laura. So, and we've got Kristen Welker here, our new moderator of Meet the Press, who just sat down with Donald Trump. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Laura, I mean, the original plea deal had tax charges in it as well. It broke down over the prosecutor wanting to have the option to file even further charges. So are there more charges coming than these gun charges we saw?
Certainly the tax issues, I think, are still a live wire out there. And the special counsel has signaled if he was going to file those charges, he has to do it in the place where the income was earned. So that would not be in Delaware. We might see that in the District of Columbia. We might see that in California. And remember, they're still racing against a ticking clock here, guys, because they have to charge within a certain amount of time. And that's supposed to expire next month. And so that's why you could see this pretty quickly come together.
How are Republicans reacting? Because they didn't like the plea deal. What do they think of these charges?
It's so interesting, Savannah. They are pouncing on exactly what you're saying. The fact that this relates to gun charges. They're saying, where is the link to President Biden? Of course, they've launched this impeachment inquiry on Capitol Hill to determine if there's any link between Hunter Biden and President Biden's business dealings. So far, no evidence of that. But that's really what they're seizing on. Politically, this is a challenge for the president. Not the headline the White House wants to see, certainly because they thought this was going to go away over the summer. And it does wind up potentially being a boon for former President Trump, who also echoed what we heard from Republicans. Where are the other charges? So we'll have to see if more come.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Some of the most powerful names in the tech world on Capitol Hill yesterday.
Okay, so we heard that. So yeah, Biden is definitely, Hunter Biden is definitely got to fight for his freedom. He got to fight for his freedom. So yeah, that's that. You know, this is just the beginning with the gun charges. Again, like you heard, they said they have the other charges with the foreign money connections, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's what's going on down at the White House. We got some more news down at the White House. All right, so here is the father. Let's see what the father did yesterday. They've been turning up. Says the U.S. allows hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans in the country to work legally. The Biden administration says it's granting temporary legal status to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans who are already in the country, quickly making them eligible to work as it grapples with growing numbers of people fleeing the South American country and elsewhere to arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border. See, what they're not saying is a while back, Venezuela emptied out its prisons. Yeah, they emptied out their prisons, so most of the Venezuelans that we're seeing that's been here are the prison, because that was a part of the agreement. You got released, but you had to leave the country. All right? So with you having to leave the country, the only place that they knew to go was here. They didn't know to go anywhere else. So them allowing them to work, I don't really believe that we understand what's really, really going on. Okay? When you leave one environment to go to another environment, you get sick, right? You get, especially to leave the countryside, a place like Venezuela, to go to New York. Do you understand how filthy, how filthy New York really is? Their immune systems aren't built to be able to withstand, y'all. It's gonna be a really big, talking about the cold winter. That the cold winter ain't really dealing with us. It's really dealing with all of these people that just came from these other countries who have not lived in the same harsh environments. Do you not understand that it would take I live in the country in Illinois. It would take my body to adjust if I was to go and spend a week back home. I would have allergies real bad because I live around a bunch of trees. I live in clean air. Clean air. So I don't really think people understand, and then a lot of people got them burgers. They got the burger. A lot of people got the burger, so they gonna be affecting a lot of the migrants who didn't get the burger. It's gonna be real harsh, y'all. Is remember they had all those body bags? It was like, what they got all them body bags for? Remember last week when I went over how the governor is really pushing for these camps to put people in because they have some type of airborne virus, right? Now, all of this is planned. This is not just happening. You remember they shut down a lot of the tunnels. So you shut down the tunnels. That means you don't have the innocent to be able to steal them anymore, take them anymore. Y'all know these people love fresh meat. So if you got, millions and millions of fresh meat coming in every day, they gonna get their fix. Yeah, they gonna get their fix, y'all. And a lot of us, like I said, we already got the burger, and it's affecting their immune systems because it's not built up for that. Yeah, it's not looking real good for them, y'all. They are being brought in thinking that they're gonna be able to just, oh yeah, like Illinois is a sanctuary state. I'm gonna say it again, Illinois is a sanctuary state. So the entire state is supposed to let in the migrants. There are tunnels directly from south of the border coming directly all the way up into Chicago. It's a straight shot. It is a straight shot. So yeah, it makes sense for Illinois to be a sanctuary state. So you got these people that's been living in environments that they're not, their bodies aren't used to the harshness of the air pollution. They not used to the fake food. Right? A lot of them, they get real food. They got non-GMO. This is what they grew up on. They grew up on non-GMO, non-USDA grade anything. They grew up on real food. They grew up in clean environments. Y'all don't realize what's really going on. This is food. Then they tell us that there is a food shortage. How long they been saying it's a food shortage, y'all? It ain't the food that we normally eat. No. So they said it was a food shortage. Why? Because they shut down those tunnels. And a lot of people got locked up. A lot of people were exiled. A lot of people are in private prisons. And these are your so-called dignitaries. These are your so-called celebrities. Right? These are the one. All of them are family members, y'all. All of the. You think you just become so-called famous one day just because you got really good talent? No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. These are blood ties. So yeah, it's you gotta, and then they're not even used to the you talking about a Venezuelan winter versus a New York winter versus a Chicago winter. Y'all, that is set up. It's set up literally. I don't even go to Chicago in the winter. And I live in Illinois. Chicago is way colder than New York. Trust and believe me, Chicago in the winter is colder than New York City in the winter. I know the difference. I have felt the difference. Okay? So it says Washington says the Biden administration says it's granting temporary legal status to hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans who are already in the country, quickly making them eligible to work. As it grapples with growing numbers of people fleeing the South American country and elsewhere to arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border. The move, along with promises to accelerate work permits for migrants, may appease Democrat leaders who have pressured the White House to do more to aid asylum seekers, providing grist for Republicans who say the President Joe Biden has been too lax on immigration. The Homeland Security Department plans to grant temporary protected status to an estimated 472,000 Venezuelans who arrived in the country as of July 31st, making it easier for them to get authorization to work in the U.S. That's been a key demand of Democratic mayors and governors who are struggling to care for an increased number of migrants in their care. This is turning up. This is really turned up. And they get to go straight through Homeland Security with no problems. Here you go. You can't even go through Homeland Security like that. Yeah, this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. But they going. They going. What else we got here? We got on the political side, what else we got? Oh yeah. Zelensky. Zelensky gotta be running the government over here or something, because he just be pulling up doing whatever he want to do. So Zelensky, he visit wounded Ukrainian soldiers at a New York hospital. I'm not understanding none of this. I'm not. Why are the wounded Ukrainian soldiers? Why are they in the New York hospital? Why they ain't at the hospital in Ukraine? Why are they not at the hospital in Ukraine? Why are they at a New York hospital? I can't make this stuff up, y'all. I cannot make none of this stuff up. I'm really not understanding any of it. It says Island University Hospital on Monday. Hold on, let me go up. Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky headed to Staten Island University Hospital on Monday to visit the country's wounded soldiers after he landed in the Big Apple for this week's United Nations General Assembly. Zelensky thanked Ukrainian fighters receiving treatment at the hospital and even helped one soldier out of his wheelchair to his feet as the two took a photo together. During his visit, Zelensky handed out commendations to the injured soldiers, some confined to wheelchairs and others with prosthetic limbs. He also toured the facility. I'm not understanding none of this. During a short address to the soldiers in the room, Zelensky reportedly issued the country's battle cry, "Glory to Ukraine," with soldiers replying, "Glory to the heroes in Ukraine." Michael Dellin, the CEO of Northwell Health, which owns Staten Island University Hospital, said 18 Ukrainian soldiers have received treatment at the medical center since March. This has been going on since March. We have an obligation to help with the situation in Ukraine as much as we possibly can, Dallin said in front of Zelensky's hospital staff and the wounded soldiers. Do this make any sense? Because to me, it ain't, the math ain't mathing. It ain't math. Like, how is it that a foreign president is in the hospital and then he's shouting another country's, like, make it make sense throughout the and he torn the hospital. This got to be his hospital. He got to have some type of stock in his hospital. This got to be his family hospital. He got ties to this hospital, because ain't no way you just walking up and down, you getting a tour of the hospital, and you a foreign president from somewhere else. And it's going on since March. All right, Neil Bay, put the link in the back chat. Yeah, this is crazy. This is I'm not understanding none of this, y'all. Put it in the private chat. I said the back chat, like I'm on Clubhouse. Mm. Yeah, y'all, this is different. This is real different. We got that happened, and then what else we got going on? That's what it is. It's there was this is probably gonna be a trigger warning for y'all, so just letting you know before posted. There was a baby who had died in a daycare because the baby got a hold of some fentanyl in the daycare. So we're gonna read a little bit of this headline. It says, police find more fentanyl in the trap floor at Bronx daycare where the baby died. We want to definitely send our prayers and our love thoughts out to the family. No one thinks that they're going to drop their child off to daycare and receive a call that their child is now deceased because their child got a hold to some drugs. All right. Yeah, none of us would ever think that would happen. So it says, police said they found a trap floor with drugs in the play area of a New York City daycare where a 1-year-old boy died following exposure to fentanyl. Nicholas Dominici, 1, died on Friday, and 3 other children ranging in age from 8 months to 2 years were hospitalized and treated with Narcan and are now recovering, police said. An analysis of urine from one of the victims confirmed the presence of fentanyl, officials said. Authorities searched the Bronx daycare again on Wednesday night and Thursday following a tip they received about a trap door in the floor. Law enforcement sources familiar with the case told ABC News. In the trap floor, investigators found fentanyl and other narcotics and drugs paraphernalia, the NYPD confirmed. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane, y'all. At the daycare. This is what's going down at the daycare. Says investigators had already found a kilo of fentanyl stored on kids' playmats. Along with the device to press drugs into bricks for sale, according to court records. Gray Menendez, the operator of the daycare, and her tenant, Krystal, Britell, are in federal custody on charges of narcotics, possession with intent to distribute, resulting in death, and conspiracy to distribute narcotics, resulting in death. They've been held without bail. They need to be. They need to be. These are babies. These are babies. You put the lives of these babies in danger and you killed one.
That's right.
This is crazy. These are babies. And he want to put his head down. Don't put your head down. Don't put your head down. These are babies. This is crazy. Man, daggone it. I cannot believe that. And then he gonna have the nerve to say Menendez's attorney said she was unaware drugs were being stored in her daycare by Britell, her husband's cousin, to whom she was renting a room for $200 a week. So you didn't know? You had no idea that this is the type of life that your husband's cousin was living? Yeah, right. A search is ongoing for Menendez's husband, who, according to the court records, was seen on video fleeing the daycare out of a back alley carrying 2 trash bags. Yeah, he ran. He ran. He on the run. She knew it was her husband, and his cousin. You rented a room for 200. So y'all put some 7s in the chat if you know anywhere in New York where you can actually get a room for a week for $200 for a week. For a week. For a week. For $200 a week in New York. Somebody, because I ain't the brightest. I ain't the smartest. What I do know is that the math ain't mathing. Yeah, that math ain't mathing at all. And what's crazy is if the cousin would have been able to get out the back door, then he would have left her with everything. Her husband left her. Her husband left her right there. That's crazy. That is crazy. Again, we want to send our condolences to the parents. This is crazy. Neil Bay wanted me to pull this up. All right, he wanted me to pull up this video they show for Good Morning America today. And this is All right, so this is supposed to be a surge of migrants at the border. Mm, mm, mm. A surge of migrants at the border. Staten Island shut it down. Staten Island was like, we ain't letting nobody on this island. You can play that over there in Manhattan all day. But this island here will not be compromised. Not this island. Nay. No, they weren't going. So let's pull this one up so we can all see. We can all see what Good Morning America played this morning.
As authorities prepare for a surge of migrants at the border with a pandemic-era policy set to expire in just a few days. Matt Rivers is just across the border in Mexico.
This morning, another brutal day ahead at the U.S. border. Hundreds of migrants stuck, waiting, hoping to get into the U.S.
So this is the U.S.-Mexico border. People crossing here every single hour, going up that hill, over the barbed wire, and they can't go any further. U.S. authorities making them wait there, sometimes for days.
Their wait continues in what will be a monumental week for U.S. immigration. On Thursday, Title 42 ends, the Trump-era health policy that allows authorities to immediately deport most migrants. When it ends, tens of thousands currently waiting in Mexico can apply for asylum. Authorities say they're preparing for a spike in migrant crossings, upwards of 10,000 per day. In response, the administration opening additional facilities to process migrants, adding immigration officers, even sending 1,500 active duty troops to help bolster the response.
We've been preparing for quite some time, and we are ready.
No one knows for sure by how much, or even if, migrant crossings will jump after Thursday. Some, though, not waiting to cross.
¿Qué quieres hacer en el otro lado? What do you want to do on the other side? You want to study?
Now, under Title 42, most migrants were quickly deported back here to Mexico without facing any legal consequences. But come Thursday, when that policy ends, migrants crossing illegally could face stiffer penalties. It's why, George, so many people behind me across the border there have chosen to cross now.
Such a desperate situation. Okay, Matt, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA. Coming as authorities prepare for a surge of migrants.
Okay, so he sent me the wrong link. This happened a couple months ago. But he said that something happened this morning in Chicago. So he's gonna look for that one that happened in Chicago, and then I'll play it whenever he finds it and he sends it to me. But yeah, this was from back in May. But moving on, this whole migrant situation it's not gonna be given up. It's not gonna stop anytime soon. It is literally to be able to get all the y'all gotta think this is it's a lot of meat coming through, a lot of food. This food gonna be stored. You see how that them drugs was stored in the floor in the daycare? Yeah, they got facilities where they store food. their own private facilities, it's going to be a lot of food stored up for them. Because yeah, they got, it's been, the numbers is 9 million plus. 9 million plus bodies. Yeah, see, because we got hip to the white vans, right? We got hip to the Uber and the Uber and what's the other, what's the other company? Yeah, we got hip to all of those games. So, we're not kidnapped through those different apparatuses any longer. We didn't got hip to making sure that our children aren't by themselves. So it's real hard. It is extremely hard to get our children and to grab us up. It used to be so much easier. And then the shutdown happened. Everything shut down, and then they started to clean up those tunnels, right? Because we put so much pressure on them about these tunnels. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot coming down the pike, y'all. They storing up a lot of their food for the next couple of months. But yeah, this 9 million plus, it ain't even, fall is not even here yet. Winter is not here yet. Okay? And they are getting a lot of food coming in every day. Every day. So they yeah, it's like that. It's crazy. Yeah, this whole situation with these children is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I don't understand how I don't understand how you a foreign president and you just running around the hospital. I don't even get that. Yeah, I don't get that at all. I saw where the migrants burst into the southern Mexico asylum office, demanding papers. Like I said, Staten Island said you can do it across the water, but you won't be doing it over here. You ain't gonna be doing that over here, not at all. All right. So that's what's going on in today's world. Something else that was going on I wanted to touch on last week, but it was so much in the news last week. I didn't even get a chance to do it. But New York got something going on with Airbnb, right? And it's the New York Airbnb law. It's the New York Airbnb law. They are literally coming for anybody that's making money, and they want to be able to get you out because they got to get they little smart city popping off. They can't get it popping off the way they want to. It's just too many of the residents that actually live there. All right. So it says the end of Airbnb in New York. Thousands of Airbnbs and other short-term rentals are expected to disappear from rental platforms as New York City began enforcing tight restrictions. No, these are not tight restrictions. These are ridiculousness. It's crazy. It said thousands of Airbnbs and short-term rentals are about to be wiped out off the map in New York City. Local Law 18, which came into force Tuesday, is so strict it doesn't just limit how Airbnb operates in the city, it almost bans it entirely for many guests and hosts. From now on, all short-term rental hosts in New York must register with the city, and only those who live in the place they're renting and are present when someone is staying. So not only do you gotta register with the city, so you got a contract with the city, then it says you have to actually live at the location that you're hosting as a short-term residential space. And not only do you have to live there, but you have to be present. So that means you got to be in the same residential home that you are renting. Make this make sense, y'all. Are you going to actually go and rent an Airbnb and somebody else is staying in it? No, don't nobody, like, that's not normal. You don't normally go, you ain't going to no hotel and somebody else staying, unless you're staying like at a hostel. Right? That's the only time. Other than that, you're not staying in no hotel, no motel with other people in the same room as you. Unless you're doing a bed and breakfast. But no, that's not, no, they're saying that they're trying to treat this like it's a bed and breakfast. It's saying that you can't leave. No, you got to actually be present. So that means that every time that someone signs up to come and stay in your home and you got it on Airbnb, you got to make sure that you're there. You got to make sure that you're there. This is crazy. It says can qualify, and people can only have two, and you can only have two guests. So if it's a family of 5, guess what? Yeah, the family of 5 can't stay there. This is insane, y'all. This is insanity. I mean, this is insanity. I was just like, yo, this is crazy. It says, gone are the days of a sleek downtown apartment outfitted for bachelorette parties, cozy 2 and 3 bedroom apartments near museums for families, and even an option for people to rent out their apartment on weekends when they're away. While Airbnb, VRBO, and others can continue to operate in New York, the new rules are so tight that Airbnb sees it as a de facto ban on its business. Of course it is. Of course it is. Short-term rentals can bring noise, trash, and danger. But the migrants can't? Is you kidding? Y'all got to be kidding. Y'all know how many more rats New York got? New York has a rat infestation like before the 80s. Like it got infested before the 80s, New York. Okay? Anybody that know New York, you know what the rats was like back in the day. That's what it's like again because of all of these new diseased beings that's just, living and dwelling there. And this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. It said short-term rentals can bring noise, trash, and danger. Have y'all seen what these people have been doing? They stealing motorbikes. A lot of women and children are being raped on the street. All of the noise running down on Mayor Adams' office, like, yo, you better give us this, you better give us that. Like, it's crazy. It is absolutely insanity. But no, they not bringing noise, trash, and then the garbage is just out of this world. So they not bringing it. The short-term rentals are bringing it. No, the new found people that's coming in here is bringing it. Not short-term rentals. So, and they can price local residents out of their own neighborhoods. It ain't got nothing to do with them being able to be in it. First of all, most of these people are only on Airbnb and VRBO to be able to actually pay for their mortgage. That's the only reason why they're even on there. It ain't got nothing to do with being priced out. Do you know how much they're actually paying? Do you know how many people have to actually rent out their space to afford to live where they are living? It says some landlords in New York are prolific and have hundreds of Airbnb listings. Yeah, but the most of your daily mom and pop, they don't have it like that. It's not like that for them. But other New Yorkers have listings on Airbnb are trying to make ends meet. That's the majority. The majority is trying to make ends meet. Either leasing their place while they're out of town or renting half of a duplex to help cover their mortgage costs. Airbnb is also popular with some of the 66 million visitors a year looking for accommodations that are cheaper and sometimes larger than hotels. In 2022 alone, short-term rental listings made 85 million in New York. The city might be relatively small. The city might be a relatively small slice of Airbnb's global market, but the new rules show how local governments can effectively stamp out short-term rentals overnight and lessen their impact on dense residential areas. And New York is just one of many cities around the world trying to calm the short-term rental gold rush. This is so disgusting. If you are in New York and you going through this, you know somebody that's in New York and is going through this, reach out to us, Amexem Enterprises LLC. We can definitely help you get your property in a different zone. If you are in New York, you can get zoned as something different so that you will not fall under this right here. This is insanity. This is crazy. See, this is why religion is so important. See, you ain't running up on no religious institution enforcing none of this. Nah, you ain't doing none of that. You can't do none of that. It isn't. No, no, not at all. I'm gonna put the link for our website. You can set up a free consultation. You could definitely set up a free consultation. This is it. I was reading this and I was just getting disgusted to have to even read it. It when I tell you, when you try to live your best life, and it always seems like something else is coming to knock you down. Something else is coming to knock you down. Something else is coming to knock you down, right? And this is the local. This ain't national. right? This is not, this ain't even a state. This is the city that's doing this on purpose. On purpose. So again, if you know somebody or you going through this yourself, reach out to us. We can help you to get zoned, so you don't have to go through this, and you can still have your short-term rentals. There's a lot of different things that you can do to not have to go through this. Shout out to everybody that's coming on. Let me see who has come on since. Let's see who we got. We got Quantum University. Thank you for coming on. Queen Eve, Dr. Neve channel. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. She has a lot of good information on there. Shout out to the world class. Make sure that you subscribe to the world class. A lot of information dealing with just everyday stuff. He going in on it. But yeah, that's the that's the current events, y'all. Yeah, if y'all haven't already, make sure that you got your 90 to 6 months of food and goods stored up. I said I'm gonna start to can. I'm gonna actually start to can, y'all. So yeah, I got my Instapot, and I'm gonna do some canning. Now I heard and I've read the different things about Instapot and canning and all that, but I'm not canning meat, so I should be on the up and up. Let's see what we got here. Well, we dealing with the Negro problem as much as we can, and with this Negro problem, we want to be able to to just really show our people and teach our people what's really going on, so that they can not only see but know for themselves. All right. So with this Negro problem, we seem to not understand that we have been lied to. We have been lied to, and we've been taught academically to believe and think a certain way. We believe in our minds that our teachers, because they look like us, meant the best for us. We believe that they love us so much. They wanted to teach us knowledge of self. No, you gonna get knowledge of self. You gonna get it. It's yours to have. And so I want to I'm gonna start off with playing this I'll play a video. All right, I'm gonna play a video. I'm gonna hold off for the video. I am gonna take a reading out of the Moorish literature. Moorish literature, and I'm gonna go to number 29. Let's see. I believe it's number 29 out of the Moorish literature. Yeah. I'll put some subs in the chat if you can see this. I'm going to also put the link down in the chat if anyone wants to come up on the panel. You can. And it reads, following our leaders. The thousands of Moorish Americans will follow their leaders, regardless of propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them and the work for the advancement of their people. We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, nor anything else, so long as our leaders who have investigated and passed on the course of action, which we feel is enough endorsement for us to act. We have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among their followers. Such will never be the case with the Moorish Americans. For when we have chosen our leaders, that within itself tells the world that we are going to follow them. All of the knocks and slams that come from anyone against our leaders will be ignored by us. Where they lead us, we will follow. Where they lead us, we will follow. So, that's not just for the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's for all associations and organizations. We follow without questioning, right? We think a lot of times because, this leader has passed this test, in my eyes, all I see about this leader is greatness, excellence, right? This leader, I don't see anything other than that. I don't see any flaws in this leader. I just see perfection. And so when things come up, we immediately ignore it because no, not my leader, not this leader. This leader is, it's perfect in all their ways. And that's been a downfall for us because a lot of times we don't even know, especially in the past, we don't know that a lot of these leaders that we think we chose were put in front of us, was given to us, was provided for us to follow by authorities that just want to watch. Want to watch what we got going on so they can bring in the dissension, right? The program that we know the most is called the COINTEL program, where there was a lot of agents that was sent in our organizations to watch and go back and report what it is that we was doing, what we had going on, so that they can bring in their programming so they can stop, really halt our growth and take us to places that our ancestors never wanted us to go. Well, like for instance, this whole back to Africa thing, just it ain't us. It is not us. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it himself. He said, "It is earnestly hoped that the Moorish Science Temple of America will not in any way be confused with any back to Africa movement." He was explicit in that. We've never been a back to Africa movement. Why? Because we aren't Africans. We never were Africans. He didn't teach us that we were Africans. As a matter of fact, that came from somewhere else. It came from somewhere else. Let's go down. Let's go down. We're gonna go down memory lane. Because we don't believe our teachers would teach us anything harmful. They all love us. They want the best for us. They're supporting the movement as best they can. So here is where it started with this back to Africa, with this back to Africa movement in academia. All right. So we know that it previously started with the church, right? But see, they got smart and they said we need to bring it in academia. So this is where it began in academia. Right? And this is Darwin. Right? Charles Darwin. Now, most people will be like, oh, no, ain't no way, back to African, Africana studies. No, it didn't begin with Charles Darwin. That's impossible. Charles Darwin had nothing to do with it. Okay. We're going to learn because, and all we get more understanding. We don't want to stay stuck in whatever we have been given just because it's been taught to us. It's been pushed on us. Right? So Charles Darwin says in 1881, toward the end of his life, Charles Darwin wrote to a colleague that the more civilized so-called Caucasian races have been beaten the Turkish hollow in the struggle for existence. Look into the world at no very distant date, what an endless number of lower races will have been eliminated by the higher civilized races throughout the world. This was not just some offhand comment unrelated to Darwin's science. It reflected important elements of his theory on human evolution. Indeed, he articulated this same principle in his scientific study of human evolution, The Descent of Man, 1871, where he claimed at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace throughout the world the savage races. Not only racism, but racial extermination was an integral feature of Darwin's theory from the start. Right? You got to exterminate and replace the savage races. Well, who are the so-called savage races? Who could these folks be? Right? If we go back to our go back to one of our maps. Going back to one of our maps, we can see that the so-called savage races, another name for them were barbarous, Turkish, Moorish, right? Here is a map from 1491. Now they said your boy Verrazano, aka Columbus, he came over here in 1492 on accident. He was looking for India. And so he came over here on accident and he found and discovered this land. That was 1492, but here it is 1491. You got a whole map. So how he discovered this land? Here you go, 1491. You already got this. It's already here. Right? The so-called distribution of the barbarous tribes east of the Mississippi. So you gotta, Darwin said you gotta exterminate these savage, barbarous, Barbary, Turkish, Moorish races in order for the pale-skinned European race to rise up in all of society. Darwinism. This is what Darwinism taught. This is the very essence of who Darwin was. All right? So, Darwin had a cousin. And the cousin of Darwin was in the same thought frame of his good. So it had to have been something they was teaching in the family. Because ain't no way, I got a cousin and cousin think the same way. This is what you being taught. You being brought up to think like this. Ain't no way you not. Right? Francis Galton, Charles Darwin's cousin. Charles Darwin's cousin derived the term eugenics. What? Uh-oh. Francis Galton is Charles Darwin's cousin? And Galton derived the term eugenics. So before Galton, there was no such thing as eugenics, but Francis Galton said, you know what? I'm gonna start this family business, this family thought, this family affair, and I'm gonna call it eugenics. He said from the Greek word eugenics, meaning good in birth or good in stock. Galton first used the term in an 1883 book Inquiries into Human Fertility and Its Development. Francis Galton pictured Charles Darwin's cousin, derived the term eugenics from the Greek word eugenies, meaning good in birth or good in stock. Galton first used the term in a book, in the 1883 book, Inquiries into Human Fertility and Its Development. We greatly want a brief word to express the science of improving stock. And this is not the stock like the stock market. This is stock talking about people. People. Which is by no means confined to questions of judicious mating, but which, especially in the case of man, takes cognizance of all influences that tend, in however remote a degree, to give to the more suitable races, or strands of blood a better chance of prevailing speedily over the less suitable than they otherwise would have had. The word eugenics would sufficiently express the idea. Galton believed that eugenics can control human evolution and development. In his writings, he argued that abstract social traits such as intelligence were a result of heredity. In his book, he claimed that only higher races could be successful. Galton's writings reflected prejudiced notions about race, class, gender, and the overwhelmingly power of heredity. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Y'all see? This is the cousin. Do y'all see what's going on? Do y'all see it? So you got Charles Darwin, right? Who said that we need to be able to exterminate. Need to get to the point where we exterminate these so-called savage races. And his cousin came behind him and said, look, not only do we need to exterminate them, but we need to be prejudiced against all nations, the classes, the genders, because these are lesser races. Eugenics. Oh, shoot. We starting to put these pieces together, these pieces to this puzzle. So we got Charles Darwin, we got his cousin Francis Galton, and then we got one of the students of Charles Darwin, right? Mr. Franz Boas. Franz Boas is regarded as both the father of modern anthropology and the father of American anthropology. He was the first to apply the scientific method of anthropology, emphasizing a research-first method of generating theories, just a bunch of theories. Here, I believe, I think, I hope, I wish. Maybe, I don't know. I'm still working on it. One day we'll get there, hopefully. First method of generating theories. Through this methodology, Boas established the theory of cultural relativism, which states there are no absolutes among cultures. The beliefs and practices of a culture can be examined only within the confines of that particular culture. Right? Let's see what else we can find out about this Mr. Franz Boas. Is Franz Boas going to get this work? He going to let us know what's going on. You know, we've been asleep for a long time, but we waking up. We are definitely waking up. So here we go. This is thought. This is thoughtco.com. No, I'm gonna put the links in the chat for y'all so y'all can get these links. Thanks to everybody that's coming on. Shout out to Perfect Square. Gratitude for coming in and listening to us on the day. See what we got going on. So this is a Thought Co. And we're going to learn some more about this Franz Boas. All right. It says Franz Boas, father of American anthropology. German American anthropologist, Franz Boas was one of the most influential social scientists of the early 20th century. My bad, y'all. Noted for his commitment to cultural relativism and as a staunch opponent of racist ideologies. Boas was arguably the most innovative, active, and prodigiously productive of the first generation of anthropologists in the U.S. He is best known for his curatorial work at the American Museum of Natural History in New York, and for his nearly 4-decade career teaching anthropology at Columbia University. I want y'all to remember Columbia University because you're going to learn a lot about Columbia University with these people. Like, all of them have a connection to Columbia University. It's like Columbia University was the breeding ground where all these brain children came out of. All the programs, all the ideas. And when I say program, I'm talking about social programming. Says for his nearly 4-decade career teaching anthropology at Columbia, where he built the first anthropology program in the country and trained the first generation of anthropologists in the U.S., his graduate students went on to establish many of the first and most highly regarded anthropology programs in the country. right? Fast facts about him, right? He's born in Germany, died in New York, known for considered the father of American anthropology, with the University of Heidelberg University, Bonn University of Kiel, his parents, his spouse. Notable publications: The Mind of Primitive Man. The Mind of Primitive Man, right? So the primitive man is the so-called barbarous man, the so-called savage man, the so-called Turkish man, right? The Moorish man is who they are calling the primitive man. Y'all starting to be able to put it together? You're starting to understand a little bit more? The Handbook of American Indian Languages. Why would he write a handbook of American Indian languages? Anthropology in Modern Life. Race, Language, and Culture. Boas was an outspoken opponent of racism and used anthropology to refute the scientific racism that was popular during his time. His theory of cultural relativism held that all cultures were equal, but simply had to be understood in their own context and by their own terms. All cultures were equal. All right? All cultures were equal. It didn't have anything to do with the races of people. Just the cultures were all equal. I'm gonna go down here some more where it talks about him and how he was influenced by Darwin. Before we get there, let's talk about this a little bit. Where it says in 1886, he began the first of many fieldwork trips to the Pacific Northwest. Contrary to dominant views during that era, Boas came to believe in part through his fieldwork, and that all societies were fundamentally equal. He disputed the claim that fundamental differences existed between societies that were deemed civilized versus savage or primitive. Savage or primitive, according to the language of the time. For Boas, all human groups were fundamentally equal. They simply needed to be understood within their own cultural context. Boas worked closely with the cultural exhibits of 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, or the Chicago's World Fair. See, Chicago's World Fair is where the world program started. The entire world came online to all adhere to this one world program. So, which celebrated the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in America. It was a huge undertaking, and many of the materials gathered by his research teams went on to form the basis of the collection for the Chicago Field Museum, where Boas worked briefly following the Columbian Exposition. So he was definitely a part of the world agenda. And that world agenda has been to get rid of the so-called Turkish barbarous, savage, Moorish people, right? Because these are the real heirs of the land. America being the oldest landmass, where it all started. You know, why would they not want to get rid of you? I mean, you the only one that can really, without being taxed, you the only one that can own the land. You got all rights to the land. Everybody else are foreigners, so they gotta pay taxes. Get rid of them, we ain't gotta worry about ever paying taxes anymore, because now we get to say we inherit the land. I want to go down here where it talks about him and his one of his brain children. Right? It says Boaz is often referred to as the father of American anthropology because in his role at Columbia, he trained the first generation of U.S. scholars in the field. Famous anthropologists Margaret Mead and Ruth Benedict were both his students, as was the writer Zora Neale Hurston. Miss Zora Neale Hurston. So it makes sense. That Zora Neale Hurston lied and plagiarized that story of Catilda down in Alabama. It made sense now. It's the brainchild of Darwin and Galton and Boaz. This is what you call self-hate. You see, and what's crazy about it is, if you tell our women that Zora Neale Hurston was working for them people and that she didn't have our best interest, you know, most of us will tell you that you're a liar, you don't know what you're talking about. No, because her book was rejected so many times. So you think it was rejected just because, I mean, their eyes are watching God? Come on, y'all. Come on. That's all to make it look and appear as if that's all to make it look and appear as if, you know, she got ops out here. Zora Neale Hurston was his student. I ain't say it, and I ain't make it up. It says, let me go down here. It says, although similar lines, Boaz denounced the belief that different racial or ethnic groups were more advanced than others. He opposed scientific racism, a dominant school of thought at that time. Scientific racism held that race was a biological rather than cultural concept, and that racial differences could thus be attributed to underlying biology. While such ideas have since been refuted, they were very popular in the early 20th century, and they still are. In terms of anthropology as a discipline, Boas supported what came to be known as the four-field approach. Anthropology for him constituted the holistic study of cultural and experience, drawing together cultural anthropology and archaeology, linguists, anthropology, and physical anthropology. Franz Boas died of a stroke in 1942 at the Columbia University campus. Daggone it. At Columbia University, catching bodies. A collection of his essays, articles, and lectures, which he had previously selected, was published. Wow. 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 Here at Columbia University, he died at Columbia University. There's no coincidence. We know that law governs all events. So here we got Darwin, Galton, Boas, and then another one. We got another one, y'all. We got another one. We got another one. Another student. Right? Melvin Hershovitz. Melvin Hershovitz. That's right, perfect square. Evil Boas. The colonial colleges. Right. Sounds like a cover-up. You just die at Columbia University. No, it sounds like you was about to let something out let a cat out the bag. And it's like, no, you're not doing that. You've been a part of the program. You're going to continue to be a part of the program. Says the American anthropologist Melvin J. Hershovitz spent his life academic career at Northwestern University from 1927 to his death in 1963. There he established the first program in what? And what? And what? And what? And what? Man, you can't make none of this up. You cannot make any of this up. He established the first program in African studies at a major university. There was no other program. He established the first program in African studies. Hershovitz has been regarded as a pioneer for advocating the serious and respectful study of Africa and the African diaspora. In The Myth of the Negro Past, perhaps his best-known book, he sought to document the strength of an African cultural heritage of which blacks in the United States could be proud. He felt that once this was known and respected, anti-black prejudice would diminish. What Africans in America? He wasn't talking about us because we weren't no Africans in America. That wasn't us. Says Hershovitz was born in Ohio to European Jewish immigrant parents. Briefly a student at Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati. He enlisted in the Army during World War I. He later attended, I keep telling y'all, look for the main culprit. Columbia University, where he studied with who? Who did he study with? Franz Boas, who was seen as the father of American anthropology. Hergovich did a library doctoral dissertation on the cattle complex of East Africa with the focus on cultural ideas, tracing the diffusion of cultural traits. The cattle complex referred to the cultural meanings, economic functions, and politics associated with cattle. So this is where the whole you cattle, you like a cow, you an animal, and this is how you gonna be treated. This is where this is coming from. This is eugenics. This was Darwinism. He said, associated with cattle and East African cultures. This ain't got nothing to do with us. We Americans. We the true Americans. Ain't nobody else Americans but us. Says with his wife and anthropological partner Francis S. Hershkovitz, he did ethnographic fieldwork in Africa in Dahomey. Y'all notice how everybody want to be talking about the Dahomey people? Nobody was really talking about them before that movie came out. The woman king. Nobody was really talking. Nobody was really coming for. Nobody was really. Nobody was really doing that. Now people, I'm a part of the Dahomey tribe and this and that. This is the person who came up with that stuff, y'all. You're following Darwin, you're following Galton, you're following Boas, you're following Herkovitz. And among African and among Afro-American groups and Suriname, Haiti, Trinidad, and Brazil, before turning his attention more fully to African societies and politics. Beginning with his popular and professional writings in the 1920s, Herkovitz sought to combat racism and nativism through the use of anthropology, convinced of as a science. He furthered Boas' insistence on the plasticity of race by arguing the American Negro was a racially mixed amalgam. When he turned to cultural anthropology of the African diaspora, Hershkovitz initially held that African Americans ever since complete acculturation to white. This is who I used to follow this whole I used to be a part of that Back to Africa, RBG, we need to kill the white man, and I used to be a part of that idea until one day I woke up out of my sickness, because that was a sickness. Because we have been programmed, Roots is one of the best programming programs that they came up with. Watching the videos that they showed us during the civil rights era, watching Trayvon Martin, right? That was the newest one, was like Trayvon Martin for my generation. That was the one that kicked it off. And then every time you turn around, it's another one and another one and another one. Tamir Rice and another one and another one and another one. Just on and on and on and on. So you see this, and you see the church again. See them always showing up, always talking about how we're going to get our justice, we're going to get our day in court, and how, we need to be out protesting, no justice, no peace, with our hands raised, and all of the theatrics that we've seen over the past 10, 11 years now. So yeah, I've been got out of that thought, that mind frame of, back to Africa, and forget America, because America, and then they do the America with the K's, with all the K's, like with the KKK, America with the KKK with 3 K's in it. I used to be in that mind space. A lot of us were, and a lot of us still are. You know how many of us have left our home because we believe that we're supposed to go back to some place that we've never been, our ancestors never been, our ancestors ain't even from. But because of the programming, here it is. Herskovitz is the father of Africana studies. You know how many so-called master teachers boast about being professors and holding doctorate degrees and master's degrees in Africana studies? And here it is. The first program of African studies came from Columbia University through Melville Herkovitz. Like, make it make sense. Who was a student right there with Franz Boas, who was a student of Darwin, his cousin Galton. Like, when these people plan, they actually plan. It ain't no fly-by-night plan. It's a plan for years. And it's always the plan for your detriment. To get you to believe that you're not home and you got to go somewhere else in order to get back to home. It's like the Wizard of Oz in real time. It says, however, influenced by ethnologists and historians from Latin America and the Caribbean, African American intellectuals, and others, he soon redirected his scholarship to the study of what is called Africanism. Africanisms, viewed as cultural elements of African provenance. We ain't Africans. For Herskovitz, in the acculturative context of African diaspora in the Americas, where cultural contact occurred between African, European, Amerindian. This is just making up as you go. Amerindian in other cultures, Africanisms shape the behavioral responses of what he called the Negro in the New World. And were even to be found among whites and other groups. Africanisms, which could sometimes be identified by African ethnic origin, were conceived as cultural baselines, and they were thought to vary in intensity across the region and across cultural forms such as kinship, language, dance, and games. Indeed, they could be charted on a scale of intensity, continuum. They were found in folklore, but they were believed to be especially strong in religion. See it? See it? See, I told you the church has said, we gotta start bringing in the education system, right? We gotta bring in the education system because the church just can't do it alone. No, we can't push this alone. We gotta bring in academia. This is crazy. So you got Darwin, Galton, Boaz, Herskovitz, Zora Neale Hurston. Yeah, they call Boaz the Godfather, right? Or the Papa Franz Boaz. See this? His eyes were watching her. I bet they was. His eyes were watching her. Papa Franz Boaz, Zora Neale Hurston in anthropology. Yeah, his eyes was watching her. Papa. What Biggie say? I love it when you call me Big Papa. Big Papa. It's crazy. This is crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Play a video. We're gonna play a video because I don't even think our people really realize what's been going on. We're gonna play a video and then we're gonna get some more into this Columbia University. Mm-mm-mm. I remember I used to want to go to Columbia University growing up. That's crazy. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you share to all your social media platforms. Once you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so you'll receive all notifications when we go live. Anybody would like to donate, the information is at the bottom on the screen.
Persuade, change, influence. That is the motto of the U.S. Army's Psychological Operations Regiment. Military operations do not always require lethal force on a battlefield. Military information support operations can employ non-lethal actions and messages to attain military objectives. PSYOP soldiers are highly skilled, specialized operators whose work encompasses executing psychological actions and the development and dissemination of influential messages.
I think the most important thing for a PSYOP soldier is to be very well-rounded. It's an ability to fit into any environment.
Trained in persuasive techniques, PSYOP soldiers use their skills to change attitudes, behaviors, values, beliefs, and influence foreign audiences through executing actions and the delivery of messages utilizing a variety of techniques.
Tactical PSYOP team will usually be attached to a special forces team, and what they do is they look at what those teams are trying to do, and in order to support that, they find behaviors of the local populace that they can change to best accomplish that mission.
While performing military information support operations, PSYOP soldiers conduct thorough research and analysis of the intended audience. They employ specific communication methods using a variety of techniques, technology, and mediums to develop and deliver messages which will have the greatest impact and influence. These methods often incorporate the use of state-of-the-art multimedia products that convey U.S. policy and national objectives. The PSYOP soldier is a critical component of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command.
To be a successful PSYOP soldier, I think somebody has to be dedicated, they have to be motivated, they have to be intelligent, and they have to be able to work not only in a team, but also independently and be a free thinker.
Special Operations soldiers deploy worldwide on missions that range in size and scope from the tactical up to the strategic level. Smaller tactical or battlefield level operations are used to secure immediate or short-term goals. Strategic level operations encompass broad national security objectives during both peacetime and war. Typically, PSYOP soldiers deploy in small teams of 3 to 12 soldiers with an average mission length of less than a year. PSYOP soldiers may be employed in operations which support conventional forces, unconventional warfare, or counterinsurgency techniques, and in conducting raids, peacekeeping operations, evacuations, and rescue missions. When deploying, you may also assist other government agencies in support of foreign governments, humanitarian assistance, and drug interdiction.
I was briefing a Minister of Security with what I thought was the best method for that host nation to better the image of the police force at that time. That was the example.
PSYOP soldiers can also operate as a force multiplier, meaning they increase the operational capabilities of the military organizations they are supporting. This requires PSYOP soldiers to be versatile, agile leaders in top physical condition who are tactically and technically proficient with strong intellectual and communication skills.
Be prepared for a very diverse mission set and be prepared to study more than you've ever studied before. We are cultural experts, and you have to be at that standard. You have to be both physically fit and mentally fit in order to be capable enough to do your job.
Following assessment and selection, PSYOP candidates receive extensive, specialized training at the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
I think the PSYOP soldier thrives in environments that can be chaotic just because of the challenge. Just going through the course itself, each day presents a challenge, each task presents a challenge, and mastering those challenges throughout the course will give you the skills to master those challenges throughout deployments.
Training includes up to 12 months of instruction in influence operations, foreign language, cultural awareness, regional studies and analysis of political, social, and economic condition for their designated area of operations. To be a PSYOP soldier, you must obtain qualifying scores on both the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery and the Defense Language Aptitude Battery.
Starting out in the PSYOP community has enabled me to get a lot of free education. I've gotten my baccalaureate. I've now recently received my master's degree. I've been to many different schools that enable me to accomplish my mission at a higher level.
You must be eligible for a secret clearance, airborne qualified, or volunteer for airborne training. PSYOP soldiers' benefits include airborne and foreign language proficiency pay, civilian education opportunities, worldwide travel, advanced specialized training, and potential for faster promotions.
Within the ranks for myself, within 3 months of being in the unit, I was promoted to staff sergeant and became a team leader. And I've witnessed my peers rise through the ranks at a much quicker pace than when I was in conventional Army.
The Army's most specialized experts in influencing foreign audiences, psychological operations,
Yeah. Sick. Cultural training. Cultural training. Ain't that what anthropology is dealing with culture? Right? They train to go in and look and learn about you, learn about who you are, hang around you so that they know how to bring in and tear down what it is that you're building up. Now, this ain't new. You think the Army just now got a program like this? I think the military just started out with this type of program. What do you think the Federal Bureau of Investigations is? What do you think the counterintelligence? What do you think it is? And where do you think they got it from? This ain't new. We could go back to the Knights of Templar, who vowed to continue the program no matter what. This is not new. It's the same old, same old. Peace, Ryan Murray. Thank you for coming in. If you haven't already, make sure you like, share to your social media platforms, and and make sure you subscribe. Once you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll always receive our notifications when we go live. This ain't new, y'all. They've been doing this. They've been doing this. Right? We're going to look and see some more what they had going on with this Africanism and Africana studies. We love the Africana studies, don't we? That's our favorite. That's one of the most favorite programs that's currently dying down. That Africana studies is beginning to phase itself out. It had a good run. Had to go from the 60s up until now. It had a good run. So this is Columbia University in the U.S. intelligence community. Asserted from North American Congress on Latin American, Who Rules Columbia? Original 1968. 1968 was a good year. A good year for Columbia University. It's around about the time that they really began to they started getting a lot of funding. They started getting a lot of military funding around that time. Says the very nature of the Cold War struggle against communism and the drive for empire require extensive non-military resources. The U.S. intelligence community, under the direction of the Central Intelligence Agency, is in charge of enlisting the expertise in the cover of non-governmental organizations through covert penetration of civilian branches of the government. Voluntary groups, corporations, law firms, research centers, cultural projects, foundations, and universities. The CIA is able to mobilize and coordinate for government service much of the seemingly apolitical work of U.S. civilian society. I want y'all to put sevens in the chat for anyone who really believes that if Prophet Noble Drew Ali was here today, that he would actually be partnering up with the CIA or the FBI. Put sevens in the chat if you believe he would actually be doing that today. I like to see the minds of the people. If he would actually be partnering up with the CIA and the FBI today. No sevens. No sevens. No sevens. That's because he wouldn't be partnering up. But you got us running to go and partner up with these associations. It's crazy. It is absolutely insanity. I'm going to show you some more. The primary tasks of the U.S. intelligence community are gathering and analyzing strategic information for decision makers and positioning trained personnel in key locations to manipulate the course of events. For a history and discussion of the CIA, see Wise the Ross, The Invisible Government. Read that book. Like several large universities, Columbia offers excellent opportunities for achieving these goals. Most of the evidence points to indirect relationships, but because the CIA is closed and secret, and because the Columbia administration refuses to discuss its CIA relations, it's quite possible that CIA Columbia University ties are far more direct and pervasive than the public data now indicates. In fact, Our own information indicates that these ties are so direct as to involve a highly influential group of men in dual positions of leadership inside Colombia and in the CIA itself. You look crazy talking about you working with these administrations to bring more information and bring more perspective and letting them know who the Moors are. Are you crazy? You gotta be crazy. Says one level of association involves individuals connected with Colombia who are affiliated with CIA related organizations. 3 types of CIA relationships are identified in the following table. Organizations heavily funded by CIA. African American Institute. The African American Institute. Here you go, walking around with your dashiki. Walking around talking about Mama Africa. Walking around talking about you going back home. Walking around talking about, I'm a professor and I got a doctorate. I'm teaching Africana studies. And we all need to go back to the diaspora. Who you think these influencers are getting their direction from? Who you think they've been getting their direction? This is 1968. The same program was ran in the 1930s with the Moors under the program of the Moorish Science Temple of America, INC. Same program. Same program was ran in the Lost Found Nation of Islam. Same program. This ain't new, y'all. This is nothing new. Oh, you don't believe me? Look at check this out. Because I don't want you to believe me. I want you to see it for yourself. Because when I seen it, I was like, okay. I see you. I see you. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? Anybody know who this is? Type it in the chat if you know who this is. Islam. That's right. That's right. That His Majesty the Magnificent El said, Agent Kirkman Bay. This is the newspaper. This is the newspaper. Let's look at the bottom of the newspaper. Bottom of the newspaper clipping. What does it say? Let's see. The bottom of the newspaper clipping says, cause of trouble. Charles Kirkman, alias Kirkman Bay, who was kidnapped by cultists. Who told the newspaper that Agent Kirkman was kidnapped? Who told him that? Who told him that, y'all? I know a lot of people about to be mad at me. I don't care. But who told him that? Who told the police that Kirkman was kidnapped? Why is Kirkman's left hand over his chest? We ain't never seen Prophet Noble Drew Ali do that. We ain't never seen this is a lineup. I'm gonna say it again. This is a police lineup. Man. It's a police lineup, y'all. This is crazy. Right. Right, Neil Bay. Exactly. They all work together. So they got the churches, they got the academics, they got the military. From those three, they're able to run the world. Because even if you don't follow any religion, you follow academia. You're a part of academia. If you don't follow academia, you're part of religion. If you don't follow any of those, at least you support the military. So you're going to participate in the military games. This is all to get us, these ones right here, is to get us to forget who we are. This is crazy. This is absolutely insanity. You know how many times I hear more say, "Oh, I get honest." Let's see, Kirkman, alias Kirkman Bay. You mean you give an honest to alias Kirkman Bay for real? Really? Don't give me no when man honest man. He honest. His father got a lot. That don't do that. Don't you do that? Don't you do that? You know what? I hear over and over and over again Man, the Moorish Science Temple of America has a spirit, like a spirit of non-progression over it. Like there's some type of spirit that's hindering the growth. It has downgraded so much. You wonder why, when you keep giving honors. And I know I'm making so many people upset, angry, and mad right now, but every single meeting you invoking a spirit who was against the movement and the founder of the movement. And you wonder why. Keep giving honors to this alias, this agent. It's insanity. Stop. I don't care who don't like it. We gotta break these spirits. We got to break the spirit of continuing to get up and temple meetings talking about we are descendants of Africans. We are not. This is the Negro problem. And we continue to push these agendas. And it seems like, dang, you know what? Every time we turn around, it seems like the temple, it makes a leap, and then you turn around and it just all falls. Like it goes by the wayside. What is it about it? We continue to call on these spirits that was in direct opposition of our ancestors, of the goal of the movement. Prophet Noble Charlie said, I hope y'all don't get this mixed up with no Back to Africa movement, because this is not what that is. Let's look at some more of this. Look at some more of the CIA. And here it is. You got Moors want to be doing business with the Federal Bureau of Investigation Department. Talking about somebody gotta do it. Really? 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 Okay. All right. Yeah, all right. I bet you somebody gotta do it. Agent, alias. You know who you are. I ain't even gotta say no names. You know who you are. mm. Mm. African American Institute and the American Society of African Culture. Heavily funded by the CIA. Heavily funded by the CIA. The Fairfield Foundation, which was a large contributor to the Congress of Cultural Freedom and the American Society of African Culture and the American Council of Immigrants in the Professions, as well as represented at Columbia through Gardner Coles, and Columbia College trustee William A. Burden, both of whom are directors of the foundation. Burden, one of the founders of the foundation's founders, is also director of Lockheed Aircraft, which served as a CIA front for the UT flights. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, we be wanting to be seen for the wrong stuff. For the wrong stuff, we be wanting to be seen. Not even recognized. We be wanting to be seen for the craziest stuff. Here it is. The Council on Foreign Relations at Columbia University. All right, you got Cohen, again, who created the African Studies, director of the African Studies. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Let's look at some other stuff that Cohen did. The Military and African Politics. L. Gray Cohen. The Successful Military Coups, which have taken place in seven African states over the course of the past year, have led to a re-evaluation of the role of the military in Africa and of the future development of the single most important characteristic of post-independence political systems in Africa. The single party over the past decade, the single party has been praised by a variety of African leaders as the most satisfactory method of achieving national unification and of promoting modernization. It has been regarded as the most appropriate instrument for the mobilization of the entire community and as a mechanism for forging national unity. Kwame Nkrumah, the former leader of Ghana, has stated flatly, one party rule is most appropriate political instrument for ending tribalism and for planning development. The importance attached to the single party derives in part from the conviction of the new political elite that the creation of national political institutions is essential in order to overcome the counter modernization forces represented by traditional powers. Consequently, politics and the political process in which the role of the national leader figures prominently take on an exaggerated role in new African nations to the point where the personality of the leader has, in some countries at least, tended to be invested with an almost religious symbolism. The function of the political party becomes one not only of aggregating the interests of modernizing groups within the society, but also one of restructuring interest groups by destroying traditional groupings and replacing them with new groupings which are more liable to be amenable to the fundamental changes in society, which the nationalist leadership is determined to make. The emphasis on the single party as the foundation of the political structure has led to the personalization of power and its concentration in the hands of a strong executive president, director, Institute of African Studies, Columbia University. All right. So I'm not just making this up. I'm not reaching. I'm not reaching. I'm not just making this up. This brings us to the Godfather. The Godfather himself. Uh-oh. Watch out there now. The Godfather himself. Woo! Uh-oh. He about to be big mad. Dr. John Henry Clark. Whew. John Henry Clark, historian, black nationalist, and Pan-Africanist, was a pioneer in the formation of Africana studies in the United States. Principally a self-trained historian, Clark dedicated his life to correcting what he argued was the prevailing view of the people of Africa and of African descent had no history worthy or of study. Over the span of his career, Clark became one of the most respected historians of African and African American history. Clark was born on New Year's Day, 1915, in Union Springs, Alabama. He described his father as a brooding, landless sharecropper who struggled to earn enough money to purchase his own farm, and his mother as a domestic. Clark's mother, Willie Ella Mays Clark, died in 1922 when he was about 7 years old. In 1932, Clark left the South at age 18 and he traveled by boxcar to Chicago, Illinois. He then migrated to New York City, New York, where he became under the tutelage of noted scholar Arthur A. Schomburg. While in New York City's Harlem, Clark undertook the study of Africa, studying its history while working full-time. In 1949, the New School for Social Research asked Clark to teach courses in a newly created African Studies Center. 19 years later, Clark founded the African Heritage Studies Association in 1968 and was principally responsible for the creation of the Black and Puerto Rican Studies Department at Hunter College in New York City. He later lectured at Cornell University as a distinguished visiting professor of African history. Clark's numerous works included A New Approach. A New Approach. Of course, it's new when you're just creating it off the whim. A New Approach to African History. African people in the world history, and the boy who painted Jesus black. He died in New York City in 1998. It said Clark founded the African Heritage Studies Association in 1968 and was principally responsible for the creation of the Black and Puerto Rican Studies Department at Hunter College in New York City. It also said that in 1949 he went to the New School for Social Research. Well, hold on. Didn't the CIA give out all that money in 1968 to Cohen? Let's go back to it. So 68 was a good year. 68 was a good year for the CIA. Original 1968. Told you. Organizations heavily funded by the CIA, the African American Institute, and the American Society of African Culture. We're at Columbia University. Well, what also happened? We see that Dr. John Henry Clark was down at the New School, right? He went down to the New School, former names, the New School for Social Research. He went over to the New School for the former research, for social research, my bad. And at the school, right, the New School is a private research university in New York City. It was founded in 1919 as the New School for Social Research. This is a CIA operation through Columbia University. Okay? Don't think that all this ain't together. Keep telling you, Columbia is the plug. All right? With an original mission dedicated to academic freedom and intellectual inquiry and a home for progressive thinkers. Since then, the school has grown to house 5 divisions within the university. Right? In addition, the university maintains the Parsons Paris campus and has also launched or housed a range of institutions such as the International Research Institution World Policy Institute. I want to get down here some more. History. From its founding in 1919 by progressive New York educators, largely former Columbia University faculty that objected to a mandatory loyalty oath, and for most of its history, the university was known as the New School for Social Research. Between 1997 and 2005, it was known as the New School University. The university and each of its colleges were renamed in 2005. The New School established the University in Exile in 1933 as a graduate division to serve as an academic haven for scholars escaping from Nazi Germany. I keep telling y'all, it is a military program. Columbia University. And everything that came out of it. Everybody that went into it. It's the same program. Different faces, different time periods, the same programming to exterminate the so-called savages, the Berberish tribes east of the Mississippi, the Turks, the Moors. It's the same program, y'all. Says founding. The New School for Social Research was founded by a group of university professors and intellectuals in 1919 as a modern progressive free school where adult students could seek an unbiased understanding of the existing order, its genesis, growth, and present working. Founders included economist and literary scholar Johnson, historians Beard, Robinson, Veblen, and Kalen Dewey. Several founders were former professors at where? Columbia University. In October 1917, after Columbia University imposed a loyalty oath to the United States upon the entire faculty. Didn't I tell you that Columbia University ain't nothing but a military installation? You gave a loyalty oath to the United States upon the entire faculty and student body. It fired several professors. Beard, professor of political science, resigned his professorship at Columbia in protest. His colleague Harvey Robinson resigned in 1919 to join the faculty at the new school. The new school plan was to offer rigorousness of postgraduate education without degree. See, this is the thing, y'all. It's looking like, okay, we're going to leave and go start another school because we are protesting against this loyalty oath. But you going to take, all y'all going to take a bunch of funding from the CIA even though you left Columbia, because it's the same program. You got to look like in the public. You got to look like, no, we're not a part of that. We're not gonna do that. It's the same old game they've been playing, right? So the new school, which John Henry Clark taught courses at, he later created the African Heritage Studies Association. Now listen, I don't want this one to slip by you at all. We don't want this to slip by any of us at all. Not at all. Here it says, in February 1969, Hunter College faculty voted to establish a department of Black and Puerto Rican Studies, and the student faculty committee drew up preliminary curriculum and recommended appointments. The Faculty Council of Hunter College approved the curriculum of the department on June 18, 1969. This is a year after the CIA started giving out that money. And a week later, the Faculty Personnel and Budget Committee approved the appointment of Keith Bard, Miguel Barcelo, John Henry Clark, John Henry Clark. Where do you think they got the funding from? Where do you think they got the funding from? Know how much it costs to set up a department, curriculum? You got to pay Clark, Barcelo, Bart, Bonilla. You got to pay all them. They need materials. All this costs. You got to pay for the space location. So that means that Hunter College had to be able to provide a space for these classes that's being taught under this curriculum. You got to pay for the electric. You got to pay for the water. This is costly. This ain't no small project. This ain't no kindergarten class. Not at all. No, this is that this is that Columbia University, that CIA money that John Henry Clark received to fund this project. Okay. You know what? When I began to research this and I started to look into this, it made more sense to me when I saw this video. It made way more sense. Before, I did not understand this. I'm telling y'all, I could, for the life of me, I was like, dang, why would he do that? Like, why would John Henry Clark do what he did? When I watched this video a couple years ago, and I was like, dang, he lying. He lying. All right. This yeah, we gonna end after we watch this video, y'all. And let me share this. Let us go ahead and get prepared. Because everybody was working. Just like alias Kirkman Bay was working. John Henry Clark was working. John Henry Clark's students was working, and their students are working today. Brother and sister Africana studies. Let's get this work, y'all.
You can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or
live in Ghana, and they were descendants of black slave trading family. The Randolph.
Oh, let me go back to the beginning.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
That the erosion of our Africanity has not been complete. I mean, the fact that we come here and feel the emotional spirit of this place is evidence that ancestral spirit is still touching us. If it had been eroded totally, we'd come through here and we'd play games and we'd do little silly things and we'd go home and not be touched by this. The fact that we are touched by this is evidence that spirit's there. So the process of us giving up the African for the European has not been complete. So you can't say we gave it up. We've been eroded. It's like sandpaper. You got all this lacquer this white paint on us. And you're gonna keep rubbing it and keep rubbing it before you get down to the real ebony wood. And so that's all. They just painted some stuff over us. If I can use that analogy of the spirit, they just painted over us and coated us, and so our bodies don't breathe right. You know, our texture, the skin doesn't perspire right because we've got this crud on us. There's another spiritual system. It's not even spiritual, another system that affected us, and that's what we're doing now. We're working through that, and our spirits are breaking out of this long history of confusion that came about from this place. And if you think about and try to imagine what it was like. And we came down on a bus. It took us a good while to get down the bus. Some of us were screeching and talking about we're kind of uncomfortable on the bus. But can you imagine being driven by beasts, by people who had given up their right to be human, by beasts with brutalization for days and days and days, and then getting to this place in that same fog that you see now, sort of dull brightness of this fog, you come out of the bush into that same fog. Imagine the psychological rupture that was occurring. And you're thrown through this place, and you're coming to this place, and you're gathering. Now there are 1,000 other black men and women like you in this place, and they're moaning and they're groaning, and you got these savages running around here. Think about the horror and the torture of that moment, you see. And so the fact that we're here and are even able to walk and talk and think is evidence of our strength. That process alone should have killed us.
This is the female slave dungeon at Elmina Castle in Ghana, West Africa. From 1 to 200 women would be packed in this holding pen. There were iron bars and gates. No one could escape. There was very little ventilation, only a hole about 18 by 18 inches was in the wall. It was always dark in this pen. There were no sanitary conditions or facilities. The women had to do everything in a bucket that were placed in each corner. The longer the women stayed, the more they died. They died from lack of sanitary conditions, no ventilation, overcrowdedness, and diseases. They were often here from 1, 2 to 3 months. Periodically, the women were let out into a courtyard. If there was a rebellious woman, she would be tied to these cannonballs and left to stand in the sun for days. The soldiers would stand on a balcony just above where these women are now and observe the women to choose which they would rape for the night. That woman would be sent up to them through a trap door just behind them. If she rebelled in any way, again, she would be beaten and tied to these cannonballs and left in the sun. These are some of the original iron bars, hundreds of years old.
Continue, please.
Watch the gutter, please. Goes behind. This was the exit for the women to the ship. But these iron bars were put here recently to prevent accidents. There were steps from where they could get down there. The main captives were made to join the women down.
Is the male dungeon. 200 to 300 men were cramped in this holding pen from 1 to 3 months as they waited for the ships to arrive. There was very little ventilation. This is the only ventilation. It was always dark, iron bars and gates on the windows. This is the passage that they would meet the women as they were led to the ships, still in chains.
Much closer. That's now receded. So when the ship came, it anchored some distance away. They brought small boats down here to take them, still in chains, before they were taken to the ship, then off to the faraway places. Keeping them in a dungeon for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, and long walk from the hinterland to this place made them weak and lean. So when the ship arrived, yes, they could pass through here. And while here, that was only ventilation.
Only ventilation.
That's why we came all the way down here.
Well, this fortress of castle was where it all started. It was 1482. And it has been proven that a little known sailor, Christopher Columbus, was in the expedition. They had landed, now well dressed. They were trying to impress the Africans that they were people sent by the gods. And when the King Asa, refused to buy the Bible story that they're coming to civilize them, he was forced to buy the gun story. And they forced their way in. So first they were looking for gold. And almost for 200 years, this was the headquarters of the gold trade. This is why this part of Africa was once called the Gold Coast. People forget that Ghana still has a high quantity of gold. But this is the first large holding station for slaves. The Dutch have had it, Portuguese have had it, finally the British took it over. The British were late coming into the slave trade, but they came in furious and they organized it and made it a business, almost like gangsters in a city. One group of gangsters, the west side, one other east side, and they don't interfere with each other unless they want trouble. Once the British established themselves, they were the bosses of the whole slave trade. They put slave stock on the British Stock Exchange. There are 46 of these folks, depending on who's doing the counting. And if 36 are in Ghana, that tells you what the headquarters of the slave trade was. Slaves were brought from all over West Africa to Ghana for resale. And then they trekked from the hinterlands to the coast. Sometimes 7 out of 10 died in passage. This also indicates that you never get a correct statistic on what Africa lost, who lived through it, and who died in the midst of it. Maybe a larger number died than went on the ships. And Adu Boyan, in an article called The Impact of Slavery on West Africa, proved that all of this was not necessary. But where we are, Cape Coast, the Cape Coast area, is the basic home of the Fantic people. They have always been the intellects of Ghana and the petitioners and the constitution makers. The difficulty with the Nkrumah that the Nkrumah failed to recognize this. Otherwise, they could have helped a great deal towards stabilizing his government. But this is, well, neither here nor right now, but once you understand the dimensions of this fort, you understand that the luxurious apartments on top of it, and that men calling themselves Christians lived in these apartments while the greatest misery ever inflicted on the people was happening right one flight below. If you look inside, you see a ladder going up to the quarters of the slave captains. That was called the ladder of shame. The virgin goods were paraded in the courtyard, and any of the captains could pick one for that night to violate. And she came up that ladder to his apartment. Sometime if girls were pregnant before the ships came back in, they would let them stay. Therefore, around each slave fort, there was a community of mixed breeds. But to the everlasting credit of the mixed breeds and the descendants in Ghana, none of them ever turned against their mother's people in favor of their European fathers' people. In fact, one of them, Krystal, a descendant of that group, is the political architect of Ghanaian politics in the 20th century. And one of them, a descendant of mixed breed, is now president of Ghana. But of all the games that has been played, he never played the color game. And that's to his credit, whatever, not to his credit, that is to his credit. That you could have had a color fight here in Ghana, but you didn't have it because the mixed breeds never saw themselves being any different from other Africans in this country. The Kwesi Brews, their family, still live in Ghana, and they were descendants of black slave trading families. The Randolphs, they're descendant of German missionary families. But this is a historical place, and it's more than just an attraction to look at dungeons. I hope people here look at the door of no return, because after they went out of that door, they never saw Africa again. And this was gone 300 years of slavery. It was gone 200 years of colonialism.
Many people say the Africans sold themselves into
So yeah, that is that video with Dr. John Henry Clark when he was speaking on um, a lot of conjecture, dealing with the what is termed the slave dungeons, and you see Dr. Leonard Jeffries in the back laughing, trying to hold his laugh in because he knows that um, a lot of it was just unreal, right? I'm going to put the link in the chat again. If anybody wants to come up, you can. If not, we're going to shut this down. There's so much for each and every one of us to not just learn, but to establish better than what was programmed for us to not only learn but implement, really honoring our foremothers and forefathers, divine creed and principles is key. So with that, we're going to get up out of here. I want to say honors to each and every one of you all who came out and participated. Those who came in the chat and left some messages. All right. Till next time, we will be back here on next week. We'll be back here on next week. Also, we want to always open up and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to contact us. So if you want to contact us, I'm going to put the link in the chat. For anyone to contact us via our website or phone number, you can. We definitely enjoyed this build with y'all this evening. As always, stay woke and continue to not just get the information, but apply the information. Our Holy Night meeting is tomorrow. You can join us in Holy Night meeting at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Just click on the website and click on join. It'll bring you right directly into the Zoom meeting. With that, peace and love.
Don't go out nearly as much as I should. Barely know the way around my neighborhood. I'm ruminating, I feel no good. Not living life like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I know I should. Like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I could. If you would show me. Yeah. If you would show me. Yeah. If you would show me. Yeah. I spent so much time daydreaming. Now I don't know how I'm feeling. Don't know who's the real me. Might need my help and I thought I needed. I can see it. Need more healing. More believing. Less deceiving. I don't go out nearly as much as I should. Barely know the way around my neighborhood. I'm ruminating, I feel no good. Not living life like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I know I should. Like I know I could. Like I know I could. Like I could. If you would show me. Yeah. If you would show me. Yeah. If you would show me. Yeah. I might need therapy too. Help dilute all the bad news. Cause I just can't deal with the lose-lose situations you have to go through. I think I need therapy now. Recycling all the same doubts. Heard it a million times. Cause I tell myself all the same lies. I might need therapy too. Help dilute all the bad news. Cause I just can't deal with the lose-lose situations you have to go through. I think I need therapy now. Recycling all the same doubts. Heard it a million times. Cause I tell myself all the same lies. Don't go out nearly as much as I should. Barely know the way around my neighborhood. I'm ruminating, I feel no good. Not living life like I know I you.